and had gone through divorce. It's that powerful. So, I want to ask you about the children in the book, the characters. We have Juliana and Nick. What would you say is their message that they have for other children? And either, Amie or Barbara, feel free, whoever wants to answer it first. And actually, I'd really like to hear from both of you because I would imagine that you each have a little bit of a different spin on it.
Okay. This is Barbara. When their parents divorced, Juliana and Nick felt as they too were divorced. They felt alone. They didn't even want to talk about it. After they were able to communicate and express their feelings, they felt better. Their message to other children is that they want them to know they don't have to feel alone, and they're not the only ones getting a divorce.
And I would imagine that's huge for children, to feel that they're not alone, not the only ones out there.
It is true, and we actually gave the books to an elementary school divorce therapy group. We had amazing feedback. One child from the group read it to the entire class, and it allowed children to open up and ask questions. It's what we had hoped for. It allowed children to communicate and to not feel alone. And that was one of the messages Juliana and Nick impart, which is there is light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to be okay, and you don't have to feel alone. And they also have a message for parents. The message is that parents need to love their children more than they dislike the other parent.
What a wonderful message.
That's a great message.
Wow, that I have to quote that, and I have to use that during my mediation. Keith, ladies, Keith is on the line with us, and during our commercial break, Keith has a question that he wants to ask.
You know what? It's interesting because, hello, ladies, because I come from a divorce, but I always, and before I remarried, I had to make sure that my wife and my ex were like best friends, because it truly is. I think people need to separate their issues, I guess along with what you just said, issues that you have as adults, versus bringing the kids in. So, like when they come up from Delaware, they stay at our house, her and her husband.
Wow.
And that's the way it should be. It's open. But back, the question I have is, do you think that people, they don't include the kids because they want to keep them out of the debate, or is it because they don't know how to talk to them about it?
Well, I think it's to your credit what you have accomplished. I mean, you have talked about the ultimate best way to handle an unpleasant situation. Not everybody in a divorce situation is that mature or that willing to move on with their life and welcome everybody in. There would be no problems with divorce if everyone could handle it the way you did.
And I agree that, parents need to collaborate for the benefit of their children. They have to, or should, actively cooperate to ensure their children know they're cared for and loved by both parents, and that both parents are meaningfully involved in their growth and development. That means working together.
Right.
You bring up a really important point, that it's not just the parents and the children in the family that are divorced. You have the secondary families when the parents remarry. You have grandparents. You have aunts and uncles and cousins. Even pets are involved. Mm-hmm. So bringing everybody together in a comfortable environment is the best possible outcome.
It's true. The last thing a child needs is to have the division when there's already a division by the divorce. I mean, if you think of an example at a school performance and mom and dad are not getting along, you have one parent on the other side of the room and one parent on the other, and you have a child on stage looking back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, that has to be, I think, for a child, that has to be probably one of the toughest things because, the child loves both parents. And irregardless, it's always going to be their mom and it's always going to be their dad. And for a child to be there and be at a recital and have to worry about, where each parent is, that they're separated or if they're sitting close together, if they're getting along, that's just, that has to be so tough and also damaging for the child.
It adds extra stress, to any special occasion, any holiday, any special event. And that's kind of why we developed the PACE technique that can be used for every day, for special occasions, or for holidays.
Barbara, I'm glad you brought that up because that was going to be my next question. Being we're right around the corner, the holidays are here, and I know that it's, fast upon us, but I'd like for you to explain the PACE technique and how it can help, and especially now around the holidays where a lot of people next week are going to be dealing with this with the divorced family and the kids. So tell us about the PACE technique. Exactly what is it?
Well, it stands for P, planning, A, acknowledgement, C, cooperation and communication, E, encouragement and empowerment. Planning, plan ahead. Plan the holiday schedule in advance to reduce the chance for miscommunication. Plan something special for the children over the holidays. Positive new traditions. It could be something simple like baking cookies, but create new memories together. And also, plan some time for yourself to rest, relax. You need some time when you're away from the kids. Acknowledgement. Acknowledge the sadness. Don't pretend everything is okay when it's not. Children see the family unit as broken, and things have changed. It's okay to acknowledge the sadness. And you also should acknowledge that holiday and family traditions have changed. Like you said, children generally want to be with both parents over the holidays.
The C in PACE stands for cooperation and communication. If parents can accomplish the communication and cooperation, it eases the stress of the holidays for everybody, but especially the children. Cooperation can be something as simple as sending a birthday card or a holiday card to the other parent, or allowing the children, if they're with you, to freely communicate with the absent parent. The E stands for encourage and empower. You should encourage your children to enjoy holiday time with the other parents so they don't feel guilty. You can empower your children by encouraging them to talk about how they feel and also giving them a voice in the holiday planning.
Those are wonderful tips, and they sound pretty easy and basically common sense to some of us, but I know for so many divorced parents out there, it's really tough and it's hard for them. It's hard for parents to take their emotions and, regardless of what's happened, if one been wronged by the other, and kind of put that aside for their kids. So that's going to lead me to another question now. And Amie, what are being that you're a family law attorney, what are some of the things to avoid in a divorce so that we can kind of some of this stress for these kids?
Well, when you're divorcing, don't make it about the fight. The real issue in a divorce or any custody situation is what is in the best interest of the children, their well-being. It's not about the fight. It's not about hurting the other parent. Another tip I have would be to avoid the court system if possible. Instead, turn to mediation, family therapy, co-parenting. It's better for the children. The third thing is stay in charge of your divorce. This is your family. You're in the best position to make the decisions, not the lawyers, not the judges. Lawyers can guide you, but it's your family. Remember that.
And, that's something that, as a professional family mediator, the one thing that I always stress to couples when they come for a consult is that if they come and they mediate and the two of them can sit down together, they are making the decisions for their family and their children. They're not going before the judge who's going to decide, and they're not letting the attorneys kind of sway them one way or another or speak for them. They should be involved because these are their children, it's their divorce, and it's their lives and their families' lives.
Oh,
so
absolutely. I completely agree with you. And, you know, what many of my clients don't recognize initially is some of them want their day in court. And often the first experience that parties have with the legal system is their divorce and the family law system. But the court doesn't necessarily have the time, ability, or the resources to micromanage their lives, their schedule, or their problems. And they may impose a schedule that doesn't actually fit the needs of your family.
Right. And that's one of the biggest things about mediation is that it's such a benefit because you can tailor anything. You know, often clients will sit there with me, Amie, and, you know, when we're going through a parenting plan and we're deciding, you know, and who's going to have the kids what days, it's going to be like, well, what are we allowed to do? And I find that question so fun. I said everybody thinks that there's this big judge, almost like I declare, and they're going to, you know, they tell you what you're allowed to do. And I basically help you're allowed to do whatever is going to work for you and your family as long as you both agree to it. And it's going to work, and it's, you know, and it's in reason. So I think that's where – go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, please. I think in many cases that's the hope, and that's what the court system wants. You have two parents, and they should be making the decisions about their families. One of the first times I was ever in court, I was sitting and listening to a judge lecture a couple about their divorce and telling this couple to get out of the court system and make the decisions about the family on their own. And he said to them, if you don't make these decisions yourself, I will make them for you, and neither of you are going to be happy. And he was right. In many cases, that is true.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Ladies, we're going to take a commercial break right now, and we're going to be back to wrap up the show. We'll be able to get all of your lovely information. So everybody stay tuned for more of Family Affairs, and I'm your host, Roseanne Vanella.
At the Y, it's about more than sports and working out.
It's about making my community better.
Living a healthier life.
Spending time together as a family.
It's where I go to learn and play after school.
The Y strengthens community
by helping kids reach their full potential,
encouraging healthy living,
and inspiring social responsibility.
Get involved. Find a Y near you. Visit ymca.net.
When water, smoke, or fire damage your home, it can be devastating. When every minute counts, call PuroClean, the paramedics of property damage. We're there for you when you need us the most, responding quickly with compassion, doing whatever it takes to give you back your home and sense of security. That's why we're trusted by insurance professionals and property owners nationwide. PuroClean, the paramedics of property damage.
The Networking Exchange is proud to present Talk Exchange Radio. Talk Exchange Radio is the latest offering from Networking Exchange, designed to help businesses grow and increase their bottom line through an innovative new approach. Talk Exchange Radio is broadcast nationally, and by advertising or hosting a show, companies can now significantly increase their geographic footprint. Guest speakers who will be broadcast on Talk Exchange